I recently hosted a creative 404-page challenge with Rui's community, and I ended up with something like this, which was an absolute joy to make. And so in this video, I want to go over the process that I did to end up with this result. So I'll go over the design to the programming. For the design, I kind of always keep a Pinterest board that's updated with the latest visuals that I like in the moment. And so whenever I have to design something, I most of the time just go on there and do like a Picasso move and I just steal something. I'm joking, but I do get strongly inspired. So these were the designs that I found interesting for a creative 404 page. I saw the broken glass and the distortion effect with like the chromatic aberration, and I instantly thought that'd be a great concept for a 404 page. My first thought is that I could use Nextjs and Blender to make something like that. And I had previously played around with React 3 Fiber and the transmission material made by the community. And so I knew I could use the same principles for this 404 page. And one thing I needed was a bunch of reference of broken glass. And so I just went on Google for that and I started mocking a design. And so once that was ready, I was now ready to start this process, but now in 3D. Since I had a pretty good base of SVG already drawn inside of Illustrator, I could easily remake all of this inside of Blender. One thing that I really like to do with this workflow is to import the SVG from Illustrator inside of Blender, and from there you can convert the SVG into a mesh, and then you can extrude your mesh and do all the transformation that you need. And when you're done with your Blender scene, you can then export it in a GLTF file format, and from there you can use a tool by the community to actually visualize your Blender scene to see how it's gonna look inside of your Three.js application. And then it was time for the fun part. I created a Nextjs application and I added a basic React 3 Fiber canvas with some lighting and an external model component. I also added an external environment with the city preset, which you can also visualize with the same GLTF viewer that we used previously. It's actually quite amazing how developed the React 3 Fiber ecosystem is getting, and I'm just super proud of being part of this community. And yeah, after to translate the Blender scene into a Three.js scene, I used a GLB file where I mapped all the nodes, which are like the shards of the glass from Blender, and I returned a simple mesh with a basic material. And with that, I was like, I'm pretty confident I have a good base now. And then for the text, I looked inside my font book and I chose one from the Pangram library. I just love them so much. I highly recommend you check them out. And they also have their own clothing brand, which is based on typography, and it just looks so nice in my opinion. But yeah, I'm going a bit off grid now. And yeah, I used the text component made by the community. And with that, I could easily map all the text that I wanted on that page. But now I also wanted to have the shards kind of floating around. And I remembered I did something similar in the past. And so I used the same concept, which is based on the float component made by the community again. And with that, I could easily make everything float around. And now finally, the most important and exciting part of this tutorial was to use the mesh transmission material. It's basically an extension of the physical material of Three.js that already has support for transmission, but it offers extra properties like thickness, which is really nice to emulate a glass-like effect. And not only does it do that, but it also allows you to add noise and chromatic aberration. And so really, I had a ton of fun playing with those values. And to help me find the right values, I used the Leva library for the controls. And I ended up with this final result, which is like a super slick 404 page with a decent concept that I'm super happy with. And that was it. Yeah, quite simple to make. I ended up with something like 50 lines of code, which is quite short. And for that, I have to thank the community for creating a bunch of tools that's available for us to be able to prototype something very fast. And yeah, if you learned something from this video, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.